Welcome, everybody, to episode 163 of the Hoots podcast. Back after the holiday weekend. Man, we haven't done a show after Stomping Ground, something like that. It's been a really fast couple weeks. It hasn't been that long, but welcome to the program, everybody. I'm Joshie. Hope you guys are doing well. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast, also on Instagram, Joshie Lopez 94. Check out my music page as well on Instagram. I actually tried to cover an entire album. So I did acoustic guitar covers for the Hotel California album, not just the actual song from the Eagles, but that particular album. That was a lot of fun, just doing different songs from that album. It's only 10 songs in that album, actually, but yeah, it was cool doing that. So go check it out if you want to see my guitar covers. Hope you guys are doing well. Man, it was crazy just looking back at the numbers that we did for the last podcast that we did. It was like, I don't know, over 10,000 already. People checking out the show for what we did after Stomping Grounds, which is not even like a big pay-per-view. Like usually like our bigger numbers comes after like SummerSlam or WrestleMania or something like that. But for it to get the same amount of views,
number dropper.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see that, especially for people that wanted to hear us, even though we didn't do a brand new show last week. So shout out to all you guys for checking out the show. I appreciate it. Let me bring in the good brother Adam Daley. What's going on, my man?
Josh, what's up? Listen, yeah, everyone that's checking out the show, thank you. I to be honest, had no idea that many people were checking the show out. So if for some reason this is the first time that you're listening to this show, we always thank everybody because there's like a million things in the world you could be doing.
Yes.
It's so crazy. I don't know why you check us out, but I mean, maybe this is why. Listen, okay, so Josh, normally before we start taping, we have a little bit of small talk when we kind of chatter back and forth before we hit the record button and go live or whatever. But this is just a story that I just wanted to. I decided, you know what? That's why I was like, just hit the record button because I just think it's funnier for our audience out there. Because you'll never hear me say fan because if you're a fan of mine, then you might need some help. But so Josh, listen. So you asked like what I was up to over the little break here that we took. It was the 4th of July, Independence Day holiday over here in America. Some other holidays around the world too. Happy Canada Day, belated Canada Day to everyone in Canada. I know there's some other holidays all around the world, but dude, okay, so in my younger years, like here's what I remember about the 4th of July. Not much, it was always usually like partying and like whatever. And in comparison, now we're like, I worked all through the 4th. My daughter and I went to a 311 show, or I'm sorry, we're seeing them this weekend. Just went to a Lil Wayne Blank show. We're going to talk about that in a second because I know you have a tie-in with that. But here's one thing that like, and I don't know what age range listens to us, Josh. I really don't. I have no idea why anybody listens to us, but this is going to only strike those of a certain age. Those maybe in your age demographic, Josh, aren't going to understand this yet, but I'm going to let you in on something. When you're in your mid-20s, or I don't know, whenever you're heaviest drinkers, dude, and Josh, you've never drank, so all I could say is imagine like holding a pee for like, you got to piss, but you're holding it for like ever, right? And like forever, and then that feeling when you finally get to go, and it's like, oh, it's like heaven, right? It's like orgasmic. Okay, well, like drunks, you guys know, I was one in my 20s. Like there's nothing like when you're drunk and like you have to hold it for a while because you're in a car ride or whatever, and you finally get to it, and it's like, oh, there's nothing like it. When you're in like your late 30s and like you're finally an adult and like you're a parent and stuff like that, there's nothing like that like midday piss after like your morning coffee, because like you absolutely run on coffee when you like I finally understand it now. I'm fueled on like straight right now. It's like straight joy, caffeine, and like more joy, I think, at this point in my life. But right. But when that morning caffeine piss comes in, men of a certain age, that it's like that cleansing, that morning cleansing piss after a cup of coffee, and you're like, wow, I feel like a new man. It's just like the old drunk pisses, but it's better. It's like it is, Josh, and you won't understand. I don't think you drink coffee either. So you won't really connect on either of these points. Some people out there are wondering, why am I starting the show talking about toilet humor? Well, if Vince McMahon can do it, God damn it, so can I. But at least mine is from personal experience, because that's the realization that hit me over the break. There's nothing like it, dude. Like there's no greater feeling in the world than like that. I'm just telling you, it's better
Well, there's something I could relate to that. This from an athlete point of view. I wouldn't call myself a professional athlete or anything like that. I played high school football and like baseball when I was like growing up in my childhood. But I say like the piss break after a 2-a-day practice in August for football is really, really refreshing.
Wouldn't it be all dehydrated though and nasty? Like I think like after practice it would, I'm gonna just make this awkwardly weird now. That's where exactly where I'm going for this one. It's because the director of operations didn't have the balls to come on this show or send his clip before we recorded. I'm going off the rails today, baby. Heyman and Bischoff are in charge now. We're getting riskier, and I'm actually telling urine jokes that matter and are factually accurate too. You guys know I ain't lying. That coffee criticism is a you know what I was about to say. It's good. It's good for the soul.
Good for the soul, man.
We're starting this week off great, huh? To the 10,000 people that are choosing to listen to us.
Well, for those who are listening,
I went down to like 4,000 instantly.
Oh God! for the folks who are listening to us for the first time, you'll understand once you get just the show that we like to have fun instead of like, okay, hey Adam, let's break down segment 1 of Raw 5 minutes into the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like get your plug. It's like this is the format for most wrestling podcasts: ad, plugs, Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live. Okay, what booking decision pissed you off this week? That one, and then you know the drill. You know the rest. Omaha Steaks, DDP Yoga, all the ads, all of it.
All I know is I ain't got time for that. I got time to crack jokes and talk about how refreshing it is to piss, I guess. I don't know. So that's where I'm at my stage of my life.
There's another cat out there that's in an interesting stage of his life. His name is Enzo Amore. Enzo got himself in the news again, not for him and Big Cass invading wrestling shows, but Enzo found himself getting into a fight. Well, let's say there's not full evidence of the fight, and some people may say it was the worst fight they ever seen or whatever. Regardless, Enzo Amore got himself in a fist fight with Joey Janela from All Elite Wrestling over the weekend at a Bleak 182 concert, which I find very ironic because Mr. Adam and his daughter AJ, which you'll hear later on, the best segment in all podcasting, through the eyes of a 9-year-old. Adam and AJ went to the Bleak 182 / Lil Wayne concert over the weekend as well.
Obviously not the one Enzo was at. We were at the one in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's, by the way, this happened in Jersey, and again, Jersey sucks. Wait,
are we sure this isn't all a work or something? And I only asked that because I can't see, and I mean, I'm wrong. I guess most people probably wouldn't see me at a Blink Wayne show, but I can't see either of these. Well, I guess Enzo for Wayne because Wayne puts on a hell of a show. But I can't see either of them dudes being in the Blink. Listen, I'm going to tell the joke now, Josh. I'll admit it hit me sitting there with my daughter. Like, I can't listen to a dude in his mid-40s like saying like, and when we were in class today, you looked at me. It's like, what? Like, God damn it, man. You have children. Like, I don't want to hear these songs anymore. That's why certain bands I have to follow. I wasn't a big Blink dude whenever they were big. You know what I mean? Like, I was more of like Green Day, Sum 41, like, you know.
Well, that's like Derek trying to sing that song too, you know?
Well, it's just that sounded creepy as hell. Because Derek's a teacher, he's a facilitator, man. But anyway, so it actually is comical to think that either of these guys were there for Blink 182. Not that there's anything against Blink, guys. Please, I don't want to get any like Blink 182 like hate on this. Like, they're an awesome band. I get it. I've seen them a couple times. Relax. Seen him probably maybe before some of you were born, which is so rough to say, but right, which because who knows? I don't know who's listening to this. Hopefully not that young. but I've been seeing him for 20 some years. So, anyway, why were these dudes? But again, are we sure this wasn't a work? I guess this is a long form way of saying, and I know, no, if there's charges pressed, I guess not, and whatever. I don't know. Like, Josh, it was funny because you asked me, hey, what did you think about the Enzo thing? And I went, well, what Enzo thing? I'm like so out of the loop when it comes to anything other than what's going on with my job or in my life. So.
Well, speaking of works and social media, this like the big viral thing on Twitter over the last couple of days is this guy from New York who's, let's say, vertically challenged, just a very small, insecure man, just going on long soliloquies at bagel shops and delis. People thought this was a legitimate thing, but I want to give a shout to Taz because he had a field day with this because, you know, with the Taz character and how he conducted himself over the project.
It was great.
Like he was insecure and very defensive. He had a big defense mechanism towards himself, you know, and and he's like, bro, this is a work. And this dude, I forgot his name, but the guy has a YouTube channel and he goes into different stores and restaurants and causes a scene and comes up with reasons why people go after him for his size and this and that. And everybody just bought it hook, line, and sinker. Here's his.
Oh, so you mean a midget? Wait, hold on. Okay, so you just didn't want to say the word midget. I'll say it, and I'll catch heat if that's improper because I was born in the 70s. I could have called it. Sorry, vertically challenged little person, whatever. I don't know what's politically correct anymore, but none of it sounds normal. Can we just say a shorter human being might even be better? I don't know. I'm a goddamn midget. I'm a tiny human. So, you know what I mean? Like I call myself, so okay. So now I understand what you're talking about. I thought maybe you were just talking about somebody like me, dude, like, that sounded even worse too. Moving on. Go ahead.
I didn't want to call him a I mean, Truth already calls.
I'll do the dirty work this week.
Hornswoggle every week, so
I'll do the dirty work this week.
Oh God.
Yeah. So wait. So this dude basically goes into establishments and in a way, I mean, does he just always records, or does he kind of antagonize to try and get kickback, or is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So even my dog caught on to that first. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the problem though, is that we've become so voyeuristic that this is entertainment to people, you know? Like, listen.
Well, here's what I don't get. Okay, I get it that it's a guy from New York. Usually, just people in general from the East Coast are upset and angry. I mean, it is what it is at this point. But why you want that to be your gimmick? I guess I don't get it.
Because it sells. Hate sells. People have understood that hate sells, and that's why most podcasts focus on the negatives instead of the positives. Positivity doesn't sell. Only when you're the New Day. New Day. That's the only time positivity sells. Honestly, think about it.
Well, just like the dweebs that go to these arenas and lust over taking pictures of empty seats before the show actually goes on air. And hey, wait, look, I found a picture of empty seats. Hey, can you give me credit for that so I can put it on a website? Can I be an honorary member of your website reporting team? Like,
yeah. I don't think wants their 15 minutes of fame.
I don't understand that. I really don't.
Well, Josh, I really do. We have become a voyeuristic society where we're pushing away quote unquote establishment and elites, and like everybody's pushing away everybody so much, each other so much, because they think it's either conservative and liberal, or it's like middle America versus the coast, or it's like this or that. It's like, it's so weird, and I hate to break it, but it does break down that simple. So what we're left with are YouTube personalities. And you know, thankfully we're just a podcast that you know, people have a chance to listen to. And even, to be honest, again, there's a million podcasts out there. So the fact that you guys listen to us, we are very gracious that you obviously see the humor and kind of like, you know, banter that we do on here. But in reality, like, you know, obviously like our numbers are very low compared to other outlets, and we could instantly put numbers through the roof by being negative, by being cynical, by calling people out, I don't understand the point other than getting those are it's misery clicks, and I don't want misery clicks. You know what I mean? Like I like having a good conversation, even if it's something we disagree about. You know, and we're not always easy on the business. Like we prefer to talk about what we like versus what we don't like. But I don't know, Josh. I think that has a lot to do with it, because people like to see other people either miserable or being picked on. Because what it is, Josh, this dude knows that they're laughing at other people making fun of him. You know what I mean? It's one of those where he knows he's the butt of the joke, or like he's not getting empathy out of anyone. You know, it's people are getting fucked up and watching them. That's YouTube is full of it now. It's crazy. And as most parents should, tips for either parents or people that are planning on being parents one day. Always check always make sure you check out what your kid's always watching. My daughter, for some reason, was just watching, was on a kick where she was watching YouTube clips of just memes, just like, or a lot of memes are like stupid, like it's just like still frame pictures. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's like just a slideshow. It's a slideshow. You know what I mean? Like, and so obviously just, we're really becoming idiocracy is beyond, like, it's done. It's here. It's here. We're already there. All of us are Hector, Mountain Dew, Camacho for president. We're here.
Unfortunately, idiocracy is sacred now. That's the norm these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me say this really quick. Going back to the 15 minutes of fame thing. Again, not only just like the people like storming to their seats just to take like the empty seats pics. Also, it's just like the people that would pay tickets to go to a wrestling show, any wrestling show, and just find a way to boo certain performers or have their own wrestling podcast while the show's going on, just to be loud and obnoxious. And what comes out of that is another case of trying to validate what guys like Dave Meltzer or any other the pundits narratives about what's going on with the shows. I just don't get it. I really don't.
I think that might be part of it, but I think it has less to do with that and more to do with miserable people want to make other people miserable. Misery loves company, period. And the last show that we went to in Pittsburgh, like I said, and I know these people they were just internet marks, and they were hardcore. And I am one too. I just don't dive into the dirt sheets anymore. But these dudes obviously play in the dirt somewhere, and they're all in the sheets and this and that, and they're screaming and they're loud. But what they were doing was they knew they were making people miserable. They just didn't care because they weren't having fun. So they felt it was their duty to irritate because we celebrate the antagonists now instead of celebrating the protagonist. Right. It's something that we do in society. It's something that we do in entertainment. It's something that we do. And it's because, they go against it. It's cool to be different. And the problem, Josh, is people now are just pretending to be different. Like, people are losing themselves. They have no idea who they even are because they want to stick to an initial opinion that they had. And instead of like thinking and like growing as a person, they're like, no, I'm going to have this opinion for the rest of my life. You know, and I think the same thing, and that's where it ties into how wrestling Twitter is never going to change, or wrestling next time it's going to be wrestling fucking Clomper. Once Clomper's the thing, you know, for anybody that listens to Mark Maron stand-ups. I don't know, man. That's my thing. I think it actually has less to do because it's easy to shrug off anything that you're listening to. There's always negativity. I mean, it's the media's job to criticize, and that's what Dave Meltzer is. That's what a lot of these guys are. It is their job, just like the news media. It's their job to criticize the government and politicians. Just like entertainment media is, it's their job to criticize, to get fans like us or people or whatever riled up. And that's the whole point of it.
Criticize when it's warranted.
Agreed. But
don't criticize just out of your ass.
No, I agree with that 100%. But I do think it has, when people act a certain way in an event, Josh, I do think that it has less to do with because Meltzer said something or this person said something. It has more to do with somebody's personal insecurities and realization that they ain't shit.
Yeah. Well, I guess the biggest reason I'm bringing this up because there's been something that's been going on under the radar over the last couple weeks. It wasn't like made like public on Raw or SmackDown, but basically Nikki Bella uh, recently had a doctor's appointment and they told her that she can't wrestle anymore, right? So we found out that Nikki Bella's basically retired. She's not coming back.
I thought she was already, but
The bells are not. The bells are not coming back. It was supposed to be something where the bells were going to have a feud with the Iconics at the WrestleMania. Hence, why the Iconics won the title at WrestleMania. Nikki got the information. Nikki was going to come back and had the feud with them, and then she had the situation with the doctors. They told her, you can't do it. It's just messing up with your spine, and you're going to do real damage to yourself. And it's unfortunate. And then I heard on I don't listen fully to the Bellas podcast, but they have their own show, and it's for their fans.
They have a podcast now too.
Yeah, they have a podcast.
Jesus, man, that's what I mean. It's like a social security number. You're born into this world with a podcast now. It's like, here you go. Here's your social security number, your blood type, and your podcast name.
Yeah, we're gonna have the Librarians podcast soon. Before you know it,
can we get them on the show? Can we get the Librarians on the show?
We'll see.
Get Bittenbinder on the show. I promise you, before the end of the year, I'll get Bittenbinder on the show. Detective JJ Bittenbinder, I'm coming for you. 5 minutes of your time, I promise.
So the Bellas, and especially Nikki, went on their podcast this week and talked about kind of like the regret they feel like they didn't have an opportunity to go on like Raw or SmackDown to give like a farewell to their particular fans. And for me, as a wrestling fan, I always like to side with the performers and how they want to go out with their careers. And it's not for me to judge whether they should wait for their Hall of Fame speeches or this or that, or the freak situations like Daniel Bryan retiring and then he miraculously came back to wrestle, or the Edge retirement, or Paige when she stopped wrestling. Like, if you want to like honestly like talk to the fans and have that spotlight on Raw, and just say thank you for giving them a chance and perform and this, I have no issue with that. But she brought this up and she's like, I risked my life. And you know what? As a human being, sometimes we like to be acknowledged or appreciated. And the fact that she would never have the opportunity to stand in the ring and have a Nikki or thank you Bella's chant because of fear of just how it is with the hardcore fans and how they've always felt about the Bella twins in general. Like, it would just be constant, like, snarky comments or booing or this and that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And she broke down. I heard the audio of this podcast. This is not something I'm getting from a website. I actually felt pretty bad for her. It wasn't easy audio to go through, but she's like, I found out Thursday before WrestleMania that I'm done, and that's it. That's it. I don't have the opportunity to say goodbye. And she said she would pray for one day that eventually her and her sister would have the opportunity to say the goodbye to the fans. And this is the stuff that bothers me. You know, throughout the week, you have different people and pundits getting upset over subjective booking decisions. When you have performers, especially those who get told you can't wrestle and not going out the way they want to, and they have to worry about what some jackass in the upper deck who's freaking passing beach balls around and acting like a jackass without having some common decency to show respect to performers. That's something about wrestling that really bothers me. I don't care what your standards are for a performer. Anybody that steps in the ring has my respect as a wrestling fan. Whether Nikki Bella is your favorite or not, that's not for me to care. But why put her in a position where she felt like she couldn't have her own farewell speech without them booing or chanting CM Punk in the background or something stupid, you know?
Well, maybe she shouldn't have forced Cena into engagement. Sorry, WrestleMania moment that means nothing. Sorry,
I was there.
Sorry. No, listen, kidding aside, because that's obviously a total joke. And I'm gonna break this down two different ways, and I'm glad you touched upon both points I wanted to make, so I can make it pretty brief. Mm-hmm. Number one, I absolutely agree. I do believe that if a performer wants to, like you said, everybody should be able to go out their own way. If you want to go out like Hans Gruber in Die Hard, like, and fall off a cell, like Hell in a Cell, and that's like the final time somebody sees you, then that should be the way you go out. If you want to go out, if you want to be able to give a speech, if you want to be able to, however you feel is the best way to if you want to go away, just slip out the back, and just maybe somebody recognizes that, all of a sudden you're gone. Some people just make no announcement. They just kind of, like drift off.
Yes.
However you choose to do it, I agree with you 100%. Now, I have to believe that because Laurinaitis is her father-in-law now, right? Correct.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is he still involved with WWE's?
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I hate to say this, I would probably imagine the concern then was, and I don't know. I mean, who the hell really knows? But I think you're probably right about what you said. The second point was that fans would take it over. The Bella twins wouldn't get the reaction that they would probably want. They and you're right, it does suck because love them or hate them, they did do a lot for the division because they were quote unquote the reason why there needed to be a revolution, right?
Right.
So they gave a cause and a purpose, and whether you liked it or not, I mean, they always did what was asked of them. They always did what was supposed to do. And I actually thought Nikki was getting better and better and better and better each passing year when it came to her in ring work. And nothing against Brie because I liked Brie better out of the twins, but she's more of a family woman. She kind of wants to be at home, which is awesome. You know what I mean? So you can't. It sucks. I mean, it does. It sucks because it's one of those weird situations where who knows what the real answer really is, and it's none of our business, as far as that goes. But it's. I feel like it's there. There might be somewhere in between with all that. But you're right. It is a shame. I mean, if she wanted some time, but Josh, how would you? Let me ask you this: how would you feel though if, like, all you wanted that time and you envision it a certain way in your head, and then you get out there and you have 15,000 people just booing you the entire time? Like, as you're trying to get through like a farewell speech, you know what I mean? Like, that would be to me, that would be demoralizing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but sometimes they know the crowd, and that's where it is wrong for fans. Like,
well, it shouldn't be that way.
No, I agree. Listen, a lot of things shouldn't be. You know what I mean? Like, but unfortunately, the fans will probably never give Nikki Bella the credit she deserves, and it's a shame. And I'll say it. Here, don't throw stones at me. I don't care. I know Ant got my back if he's listening,
Yeah.
But and I'm not trying to put Nikki Bella on any kind of pedestal either, guys. Like relax. I'm not.
It's not about her. It's not about giving her special treatment, but for anyone to say they didn't have a positive impact in the business is foolish.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when it came to, there was a generation of young girls that did look up to, there wasn't the Nikki Bella versus AJ Lee dichotomy. You know what I mean? It was just as simplistic as the John Cena versus Edge or John Cena versus CM Punk, juxtaposition of how different their characters were. And I personally used Cena with that and Nikki Bella just because, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be that dude.
Well, it always goes back to, like, for me personally, like, I just never really related to people who act in, like, pack mentality and cliques and this and that. I just never been that type of guy. I don't need to be in a clique. I could accept people for who they are, not just because who you surround yourself with. And just like the general narrative of we get to select who's right for these positions and who's wrong and this and that, or this going to discredit every single thing that person's going to do and that performance going to do because they don't fit our clique and our standards. Fuck your standards, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I get that, but let's put on. I want to look at it from the flip side for a second. And let's think about, obviously, and I'm not trying to, try to overly dissect anything, but just as somebody that has managed people their entire, almost my entire life, my entire working life. If you knew somebody was already emotional because they were losing their job and it was something that was out of their hands, right? Would you want to put them in a position listen, and I didn't get to hear the audio, but knowing how emotional it sounded like it made her for not being able to give that speech, how much, and I know I hate to say it, and you're right, it's not fair, but if you're a company, you don't want to put somebody out there for risk that it could cause some sort of traumatic experience. It could trigger some sort of emotional damage. It could trigger some sort of, because that is like throwing raw meat to a lion's den. And you're absolutely right. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be. It's this, that, or the other thing. But just there's things these days that unfortunately it just is. And the wrestling fan base in some capacity is never going to grow up. And that's the shame of it. Like, listen, dude, they're still going to be booing Roman Reigns 10, 15 years from now.
Well, that's stuff to do with his character. Like, a lot of the hardcore fans just base their general personal feelings on them. And yes, I understand the Bells made the decision to have their own reality show. I understand that, but still, I'm just talking from a human element. I get what you're saying as a company and putting them in a position to be in the ring and booed. Yeah, it would totally suck to have that feeling and have that happen to you, But I'm just speaking from a human element. You can't give somebody the credit that they deserve. You gotta be petty. Like, they did something bad to you that you're just gonna discredit every single thing they did for their own career. I'm sorry, just because something, like, for example, I wasn't big and I wasn't heartbroken when Daniel Bryan had to retire. Like, I wasn't the biggest Daniel Bryan fan at the time, but I didn't go on Twitter and I didn't go, oh, just wrap up the speech and how you're grateful for this. And I didn't say something stupid. I respected the guy. I wasn't his biggest fan, but I wasn't going to say something stupid just because he wasn't my favorite guy on the show.
But that's why Twitter is there, is for people to go say something stupid. So I think that's the, and I know and listen, I'm agreeing with you 120% on this, because it is more fan behavior than it is anything else. But the only reason why I said it, from a business standpoint, I understand. If that's what they were doing, is if they felt like they were protecting their talent. Right. I don't know if I necessarily disagree, because not only, and there's a bunch of different capacities. How's it going to look on TV? How's it going to look to the casual fan? How's it going to look? It's just, there's a lot of different, and again, what would it do to her, personally, if that were the case? Should the fans grow up and yeah, in a perfect world? Yes. But this is what I hope that everybody is learning as we go into 2020. Considering we've been, for some reason, still in a goddamn political, it seems like the election never goddamn stopped. And this has nothing to do with the election, but like, people are so, like, we're all stuck in 2016 like it's the blip, right? And if people know what the blip is, I'm not saying anything else other than that, but it feels like we've been hit with the blip. And so anyway, my point is that, like, the wrestling fan isn't, at least the WWE fan is not going to grow up, because if you watch WWE, it's twofold. It's either you're probably a younger fan, more in it for the, it's not as bloody, edgy, whatever, you know what I mean? It was the only bigger, North American option there for a while. A lot of reasons we can like go through. But at the same time, it's also the home of the world's best troll farm ever too. Right. So that's where WWE, whether you love it or hate it, it's people, guys, gals, you hate watch sometimes. You hate watch to go to Twitter so you feel like you're a part of something special, because you're all complaining together. Misery loves company. We already talked about that once this podcast. Yep. So
and for those on Twitter, you're not Silky Johnson, so you're not that funny.
Well, yeah, no, yeah. That's why I don't go on Twitter, man. But
hey.
I do. Listen, I feel bad for Nikki Bella and the Bella twins. And, I don't think it's necessarily something, though, that they probably might have something for them down the line, maybe an on-screen role or maybe something, so maybe they didn't want to do anything, they didn't want to do anything to hurt the character if they wanted to bring the character back, and I understand that their in-ring career is over, but that does not mean that their WWE career necessarily has to be over. Because if you start looking at it that way, then it's kind of more selfish about, well, since I can't wrestle, fuck you, WWE. And then, you know what? You don't deserve your farewell speech, because you're only really, in fairness, now I'll shoot from the hip, you're only good for about the last year of your 8-year career. So maybe you can screw.
Right. Let's talk about AEW real quick. We didn't get a chance to recap Fyter Fest because that was 4th of July week. We're not going to go over the whole show or anything like that, but Man, I was looking at the comments while I was covering the show live, and I was looking at the comments, man. It wasn't really much of an AEW ass kissing session in the comment section. A lot of people did not like the pre-show or the buy-in, whatever they called it. They lambasted the Nakazawa Jeb Bailey hardcore match. I just thought it was interesting how you could hook somebody with a inflatable flamingo. I just thought that was hilarious, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It was good. Fyter Fest. I actually was pleasantly surprised with Fyter Fest.
What did you think about the whole thing with Shawn Spears hitting Cody with the steel chair?
Accidents happen, I think they handled it like professionals. I think that was a good it was, and you know what, you could tell that it was accidental too, because one thing I wanted to bring up is I appreciated, and this is as a parent, and which doesn't mean anything, but as a non-parent, there's something I appreciated about it as well. But I loved how they said, the pay-per-view is now over, and now is the unsanctioned match. So basically it was like, okay, just know that the paper, quote unquote, Fyter Fest is over. So, put the kids to bed. Here comes something that technically isn't AEW,
Yeah.
So I liked it for twofold. One, as a parent, that's great, because if you as a parent know what your child should or should not watch, you know your child better than anybody else. Yeah. And on the second part of it, from a fan standpoint, it made that last match feel super, super cool, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now while we're on, we'll hit that back up later on. But the Shawn Spears, the chair shot, accidents happen. That's all. I mean, I don't think there was any maliciousness. I'm not really big into headshots anymore. I'm really not. But at the same time, listen. It was a prop chair, right? It's just accidents happen. It doesn't matter. It could have been. It could be anything, and an accident's going to happen. No concussion, thankfully. 12 staples. I mean, I've had hundreds of staples in my head, which explains a lot. So, I think that it's were people making a big deal about that too?
Yeah.
Was anybody happy over the holiday?
I don't think so. It's America. When are we happy? Let me ask you this. I'm not saying this is the case for me personally, but there's been this question that's been posed. Do you feel like Cody is trying too hard, or better question, is there a conflict of interest of Cody trying to make sure that he's the most talked about part of every AEW show that's gone on so far?
Josh, I just know that I don't need a partner. I don't need
a friend.
I don't need a friend.
I
need my little brother, Josh. No, listen, I don't think it's anything like that. I really don't. And if it is, it's leading towards something, storyline wise. I just think that anything that we're overanalyzing, whether it's intent, is probably intentional. If it's not, they can make it intentional. Things organically happen. Sometimes they just throw my, I would like to think that stuff just kind of gets thrown at the wall to see what sticks. I don't think they thought the Librarians was going to be as popular as it is, or as as funny as it is, because at least, I don't know, what I've seen, it seems like that seems to be a pretty popular gimmick. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, that was another one that didn't get some love.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, I love the Librarians. I don't know why people
I thought it was cool. I thought it was something different.
I didn't see the. Okay, so the pre-show started at 7:30. I actually was doing work until I missed the first 20 minutes of the show because I was working on a work project. Long story short, because nobody knows what I do and it doesn't matter. But so I didn't get to. I started watching it late because I didn't want to let you know. So I think we missed most of the pre-show. Trying to think. Wrap up the pre-show for what was the last match on the pre-show?
I'm glad you said this because I was going to bring this up. For those who listened to the intro, by the way, which was the MJF press conference after Fyter Fest, that dude's a
that was great. Man. It was great. So salt of the earth.
Especially for one particular reporter that was getting grilled. This had a real good place for me. That was some funny shit, man. But it was MJF. No, MJF was on the show, right? That was the Fatal 4-Way. MJF, Havoc, Paige, and Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
Jungle Boy's getting the pops, man.
Yeah, it's wild how much coverage because he I mean obviously Luke Perry's son, but Jungle Boy's not somebody I expected that to get as much camera time as he's already getting, time on being the elite that he's getting, and it's working though.
Yeah. The
attached to Luchasaurus, which is the greatest. Who knew?
The last pre-show match was Private Party against SCU and Best Friends.
Okay. Yeah, then we didn't see much of the pre-show then, because is that why a tent was set up at the beginning of the stage? Were the Best Friends in a tent?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the matches that are coming up this weekend at Fight for the Fallen. They announced that Chris Jericho will be having a live mic, and supposedly he's not happy. So we'll see what goes down with that.
He should always have a live mic.
By the way, the venue at this place is interesting. It's called Daley's Place.
Spelled differently.
Yeah. Daley's Place Amphitheater. It's literally in the area of where the Jaguars play for their football stadium. This is obviously a venue owned by the Khan family as well, so it's pretty cool they're doing it. Obviously, proceeds for this
event all of Jacksonville or something. My God, man.
The proceeds for this event is going out to victims of gun violence in Jacksonville, which is pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
We're not gonna make predictions for this particular show, but I'm just gonna run over the match.
Too many shows this weekend, and I got a concert to go to. This is nuts.
Yeah, I have like 5 pay-per-views to cover this weekend. All right, for the buy-in show, you got Sunny Kiss against Peter Avalon. With Leva Bates. I saw Sunny Kiss perform in Lucha Underground before as Exolicious. This is the young man who also decided to support his LGBT rights, which is cool. Fortunately, he's the guy that Jim Cornette was ripping, right? For that character. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
You know who doesn't get enough credit is Orlando Jordan, because Orlando Jordan was really in Impact Wrestling and TNA or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah,
because he was really taking risks when it came to androgyny, LGBTQ type stuff, kind of a character. And I know it didn't last long, and it was kind of almost maybe much too soon. But why don't we ever give him credit for at least trying?
Doing something out of the box is better than Heidenreich hovering Michael Cole in the wall. But
again, listen, I'm not. It was the character was a lot. You know what I mean? It was a lot. But at the same time, would we still think of that being a lot today?
I don't think so.
I don't either. I really don't.
The other pre-show. By the way, I like that they like to have like nice technical wrestlings on these buy-in shows, but I would actually have this one on the main show. Jimmy Havoc, Darby Allin, and Joey Janela. That's a cast of characters right there. Taking on MGF, Sammy Guevara, and Shawn Spears. Honestly, there's going to be internal beef because MGF is basically Cody Rhodes' protege, and him and Shawn Spears are going to be on the same tag team. So obviously, that's not going to go well.
Right.
Let's see what else we got here in the program. Dark Order against the old Super Smash Bros tag team in the Indies. They changed their gimmick now to the Dark Order, so that's their new characters. They're taking on Angelico and Jack Evans and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. This is a triple threat tag team match. Same stipulations as the weird thing they did for Fyter Fest, where you get a opportunity at a first round bye in the tag team tournament that they're going to do on TV. Sure. So, yeah,
I'll admit that stuff I'm not following.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail I have to follow with these freaking shows.
I watch the show, but I'm not following.
Here's the match I'm really excited for. So-called Uncensored against the Lucha Brothers. That's going to be a lot of fun. Adam Page against Kit Sabian. Cody and Dustin take on the Young Bucks. By the way, go check out the Road to Fight for the Fallen, their latest episode on YouTube. Some really good comments from Cody and Dustin as far as their match with the Young Bucks. I really like that. I think that may be the main event of the show too. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Kenny Omega against Shima, that should be all right. And then Brandy Rhodes and Allie. And I think obviously one of the main things people are excited for is what Chris Jericho has to say for this show on Saturday. So, any matches in particular that I just read that get that perks your ear for this event?
6-man tag I like a lot. The tag team match between the Young Bucks and the Rhodes brothers obviously should be good. Just because I just want my brother. No, I'm gonna shout out to everyone involved.
I love how Matt was getting annoyed with it already. And then Nick was like, "I need my big brother."
And listen, there's so much going on, like when it comes to like wrestling and trying to keep up with like all these shows, which I don't do a good job of doing, and with work and just again, I got a 9-year-old that thinks she's 29 and. Like, dude, I totally forgot that like that was the next match. So all these weeks on Being the Elite, like, didn't even click that the Rhodes brothers were wrestling the Young Bucks. I just thought that was just going to be like the running joke for a minute. Totally forgot that. Like, and let me ask you this question, Josh. Do you think because of the way that they're announcing at least these? Well, no, because All In we know some of them, or All Out rather. I'm sorry, we know some of the matches for.
Yeah, we got 2 so far.
Right, we already know matches. It's all they're booking ahead so much. I'm mixing up when matches are.
Right.
I completely forgot that. So now, do you think that might be a problem of AEW? Because now, I like to be fair and be critical where I can. And I've been very pro AEW lately when it came to AEW's been where I've been getting my men's division fix, and WWE's where I get my women's division fix. But Josh, is this a problem?
Well, it's only going to be a problem if they keep going about this, even when the television show starts. Obviously, these are spot events that they're streaming out, and obviously the last 2, especially the one. Fyter Fest and this particular show on Saturday are spot shows, so it's not a regular pay-per-view. This is like a special event. Obviously, that's why it's free on Bleacher Report Live, that streaming service they use. So,
I do have a question about that.
Well,
maybe some of our listeners at home have the same question, Josh. You might know the answer to this. Not to interrupt you, but the Fyter Fest feed, any of the Bleacher Report Live feeds, how long do they stay on there? So, like, say if you couldn't watch it live, do you have like a 24-hour window to watch it? Do you have?
I didn't look after the show was over. I don't have the Bleacher Report app that they have I use it from a buddy to watch Fyter Fest. I'll be honest with you guys. Right. So I wasn't sure. I wouldn't see why not if they have this partnership. I don't know why. Let's have it as the AEW category, and you could watch the shows when you want. I don't know why that wouldn't be the case.
Okay.
Really quick, I was gonna say, like, I'm very curious about how they're going to go about their television show, because there's a lot of times when I hear the interviews from Tony Khan and the Young Bucks and how they want to present the show and it not just look how it is with WWE and having guys cutting promos in the ring and this and that. But with what you're saying and the question you're bringing up, if they're just going to do this and there's going to be no BTE elements on the television show or anything like that, I think that's a problem. I do. And there's stuff that Tony Khan said in his press conference that it didn't rub me the wrong way, but I found it interesting. He said there wasn't going to be any intergender wrestling matches. I wouldn't say he scoffed. I wouldn't say that he scoffed at it, but he's like, nah, that's not where we're at right now. And I thought that was very interesting why he was just like so brief to the point with that.
Maybe it's just because their women's division isn't deep enough yet. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know about. I just found it weird that he was so like too quick to the point. Like, nah, we're not there yet. Nah, probably not gonna happen. And then, I talked about this before, right? About the edgy content and what they're gonna do and be allowed to do on television. It clarified what I thought. A lot of the stuff you're seeing with the promos with Jon Moxley and the cursing and this and that, I don't think you're going to see that on the television show. You may get it when you have like the YouTube series that they do for promoting the pay-per-views and this and that, because I think maybe their strategy right now is they want to market through the internet first before they get a grip of how it is to promote their product through television. So that's how I think they're going about it right now. Whether it's right or wrong, we'll see how that works out once the show starts on TNT. But
you know what, Josh? One thing I can add on to that, I think you made a lot of really good points in that, and I want to add on by saying that the best promos. I mean, granted, I'm sure everyone can pick one promo here, there, or two promos here, there, or whatever, because everybody that they always have their one that they hang on to. But this year, some of the best promos have been either videos that people have put on an Instagram feed or back and forth banter on Twitter or it's all been social media based, and that has helped carry over onto WWE TV finally. But that's something maybe that we know we're going to get that online.
Well, like the Mustafa Ali promos, right?
Right. Yeah. But we know they can be edgier online, but they also know they already have that fan, right? And we know that we're still going to get that. So once they go on TV, and I think, Josh, this is you're saying the same thing. I'm just going to put it through a different lens.
Yeah.
AEW is now going to try and attract that casual fan that WWE always tries to attract, because they know they got the internet bubble underneath their thumb right now. They absolutely know that the internet bubble, the diehards, the wrestling Twitter, whatever moniker, all the marks, whatever the whatever the moniker is this time for the passionate wrestling fans. They know that right now that we're like, in a way, we're all looking at AEW as like, please succeed. You know what I mean? Like, we want it to, but they do need to grow past just us. And that's where, Josh, you're absolutely right. It will be a little bit different on TV, but I think we have to know that going in and set up expectations that, okay, so it might be a little different on TV. How invested in these characters are we really? And I think that's going to be a true litmus test, because I keep mentioning, okay, there's different litmus tests as they go along. And one was, how was their first almost like B pay-per-view going to feel? And honestly, I thought it was a great show. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great card top to bottom. I thought the matches were fantastic. I thought it was really, really good. So they keep proving that they can do it. And I think the next step, though, Josh, is like you said, that how they go on TV. I do think that's when the critics are going to start to come out a little bit, and you'll hear, oh, they're trying to be too much like WWE, or, oh, they're not trying to be, edgy enough, or they're trying to, one way or the other, they're not going to be able to please people. But we have to understand that the reason the TV deal is so important is exposure for casual fans to try and hook the casual fan in, and not only the casual fan, but that, my daughter's age up to that teenage age where you can hook them for life, right? Yeah. Not the old, but and the sponsorships, obviously, that's also important.
Plus, I get it, when they start doing their television shows, they would want to make sure that not every single person or the main guys are on the show every single week, but there's also going to get to a point where video packages can only do you so much. I mean, you need to have certain performers on each week. I'm not talking about the main guys every single week, but it gets repetitive. I mean, there's even times where we wonder where certain WWE performers are. Like, they'll go through a couple weeks without being on Raw or SmackDown. And my thing is, especially with how they're announcing matches too, you can't say you want long-term storytelling. Like, let me know what the actual card is for this beef show, and then let your packages tell that story beforehand.
Right.
Announcing it every single week is just throwing me off.
A little bit. But I think, Josh, I think that the big thing with getting on this time slot too, and kind of not toning it down, but like you said, you're not going to have, the same promos. And again, because we know that we can get those promos online, and I hate to keep reiterating this, but because I think AEW knows if they can get that young demographic, they can get an entire generation of wrestlers to fall in love with their product over WWE. Because WCW had it for a minute, right? They had it for that 83 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So if they could capture that same lightning in a bottle, but extend that out, you can get a generation. I don't care how deep WWE's farm system is. Now you've given options, and people can go back and forth. And and here's the reality check, guys, that people don't understand. My daughter, obviously, who watches TV and even watches Being Elite with me and watches that kind of stuff. So it's not like language it was ever an issue with, either of her parents or anything like that. But there's obviously certain things on social media, the back and forth banter that maybe some wrestlers do, or some wrestlers cut, or some promos that are cut that I don't show her, So they do still have to, because 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds are not on Twitter. They shouldn't be. If you're a good parent, your child is not on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah. If they are, your parenting card should be revoked. So they know that they're looping us in, but they need to get that other generation. And we forget that what's risky to that generation might not be risky to us. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. Well, that's just my viewpoint.
And for those who are going to have those high expectations of being like a super indie show with Attitude Era edge, I mean, you have to understand, especially when you have a television product, you can't only look for your own interests.
Right.
There's different things you got to cater to. I get it. What people want AEW at the end of the day to just be alternative to WWE. At the same time, if you're just thinking AEW is going to be the Attitude Era, you're going to have that feeling in a couple months. Oh, this is what they did in WWE. This is what they did in ECW. What I want to see AEW do is form their own identity. Do what AEW does for their show for their own purposes. Mm-hmm. Not because I want to recreate a feud that Raven and Tommy Dreamer did in ECW, or something like, I don't know, The Nation and DX. Not even like Stone Cold or Vince McMahon, because that's obviously the easiest feud everybody goes through when it comes to the Attitude Era. But like at the end of the day, when I'm watching AEW, I want them to tell their stories for what that brand's supposed to be, not what the bubble is supposed to be. It's supposed to be AEW, not, oh, here's a wrestling company where the internet wrestling fans dictate what it is. Like, let me watch the brand.
Well, realistic, your audience should ultimately always dictate your when you're your audience should dictate in entertainment in some direction where you go. Now it's just about when you want to pull their levers. When you want to make them angry, you make them angry. When you want to make them pissed off, you make them pissed off. When you want to finally give them the payoff, you finally give them the payoff. So I don't think, on a week-to-week basis, you obviously listen to the fans, because then it would be vaudeville on steroids. But and I don't mean it like that, guys. You know what I mean? It's a figure of speech. I don't mean anybody's on steroids. Because people these days will take that so the wrong way. But you know what, Josh? I actually still think though that AEW has felt like AEW so far. I really do. I feel like they do have their own identity. I don't think they're trying to recreate anything. I don't think that they're trying to. I just think they're trying to. I'll use another R word. They're trying to revolutionize. They're trying to just take what we've had and maybe turn it up a notch. You could see WWE starting to get a little riskier. They're being a little more free with language. They're here and there. They are some suggestive things with Maria and Mike Kanellis, which was amazing, by the way. So I think that that's probably what we're going to kind of see out of both shows.
Well, for me, like what I'm consuming from AEW, I'm just looking at it for what AEW is doing. I'm not thinking about other companies when they're doing their shows. Just like when Lucha Underground started, it was a new thing on the El Rey Network. I watched it for that reason alone, and I want to support the brand for what they're doing for their own reasons. And that's the same way I'm going to go about it for AEW until we like a couple of years down the road where we figure out what the identity of what the brand is and all that extra stuff. That'll come with time. But until then, especially before we get to this television run in October, I'm just watching these shows as, okay, here's a new company. They're doing their own thing. Cool. That's it.
Well, I mean, what do you mean though? I mean, I guess embellish on that, because like what do you mean as far as like an identity goes?
Well, I just think it's important for companies that are going to have staying power. I get it. Impact is like the rare family member that won't die or go away from a party. Like how they've had so many different changes over the years of what their company is. I'll talk about if this is going to be like the next WCW, they need staying power. And how you have staying power, you know what your brand is and what the identity is behind it. If you don't have an identity for your brand, what's the point of having the company?
But what was WCW's identity though, ultimately? Because they had a very short-lived hierarchy and then dropped off very quickly.
Well, Ted Turner told Eric Bischoff. I heard it. Eric talked about it on his 83 Weeks podcast. They said off the gate, especially when Hulk Hogan came in and they decided to put Eric in charge of the company. Ted Turner told Eric Bischoff that he wants to compete with Vince. That was their identity of their show.
Here's the identity.
Having Tony Schiavone give out results for Monday Night Raw as reasons to why you should stick on Nitro.
No, here's the identity. They were the first that was reality based. They made their characters feel real. They came in with real names. They came in with they blurred the lines of they used a reality TV formula in pro wrestling, which pro wrestling, sports entertainment always uses Shakespearean, theater. It's Greek theater, but it was never really reality. I mean, they tried elements, you know what I mean? But
this is my bigger question. Do you want to watch? This is my bigger question. Do you want to watch AEW or WCW 2.0?
Well, no, see, but I think, Josh, here was going to be my question. When you said anybody that has staying power, sans WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling, name a company that has had staying power. Now, I understand Ring of Honor. I understand that. But that's still small potatoes when you can compare it to WWE.
There is none. That's my point.
There is none. So you can't. So I think by going in and saying, well, I need to know their identity, in a way, you're kind of setting them up to fail in your own mind because you're expecting something that isn't.
I'm not expecting it out of the gate. I'm just talking about in general. Like, if I'm going to look at AEW being the second biggest wrestling company in the world, I need to know what their identity is.
I think what they want their identity to be, and I could be wrong, but they want to be known as the biggest pro wrestling company in the world because WWE is the biggest sports entertainment company in the world.
Yeah.
There's your difference. And I think that's the identity that they're trying to go for. I could be completely off base. Now, how they get to that, Josh, maybe that's the question. But if you're asking me what to me, AEW right now is, and whatever, I'll say it, it's the best pro wrestling on the planet. Am I right? Am I wrong? Probably. But I look at WWE as entertainment. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's an entertainment show that has wrestling themes, or it's you know what I mean. Like, it's when you really look at the product, it's thinner on wrestling, more on entertainment, and it bleeds over when you bleed over into social media.
Well, you're making my point. That's what I mean. I want to know what I'm watching. When I watch WWE, I know I'm watching a entertainment show.
You're watching pro wrestling when you watch AEW, right?
Yeah, for now. I also had that same thing. I had that same thing when I watched New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like,
right. Well, okay. Well, what's their identity then? I'm pressing you today.
Strong style wrestling.
There you go. Okay, there you go. So now they've developed that. So now that they're known to have that strong style. Progress is known as like that punk rock style. Like, they have a different vibe. I think what we're starting to see, and you're right, they're not there yet. But I think what AEW wants to be is the best pro wrestling company on the planet. And I think that is what their aim is. I don't think it's about strong style. I don't think it's about entertainment. I don't think it's about lucha. I think it's about a blend of the best of everything in the world, and you're getting it in one place. I think that's ultimately what their goal is. It's just going to take, like you said, it's going to take time. But Josh, I think that's the identity that when you're watching AEW, that's the identity they want you to buy into. So start thinking that way now, and then we can base decisions on whether it is or it isn't, later on after the fact. But that's just my opinion and how I'm perceiving things and hearing things and whatever. And I'm probably wrong. I always am. Ask my ex-wife, but well.
All right. Before we bring AJ in for a segment this week, there's a couple things I wanted to mention really quick. I want to give a shout out to Impact Wrestling. They had their Slammiversary pay-per-view in Dallas last Sunday. It was a very, very good show. Impact obviously has had their issues of finding a stable network to be on and have their shows and what it is. And I think they did a very good job. The fact that they went out and had Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard be the main event of that show, I think that's really cool. And obviously, they don't have the exposure. Their weekly shows on a channel called Pursuit. I don't even know what the hell Pursuit is. I watch
the channel.
Yeah, that is a channel. I watch Impact on Twitch each week. That's how I catch up with the show each week. But for as much minimum exposure as that company has right now, they are dishing out good content. I've actually enjoyed this run of Impact since Don Callis and Scott DeBoer has been running and producing the shows. I think they've done a very good job. I thought Brian Cage and Michael Elgin had a sick match. The women stole the show with a fatal 4-way Monsters Ball match, which was awesome. I think TNA has done a lot of good stuff recently, and I thought they had a good pay-per-view. And the fact that maybe some people will look at it as a risk, but to have an intergender match main event a pay-per-view, especially one of their bigger shows, I think that's really cool. They announced that Bound for Glory 2019 will be in Chicago, the city of all big events the rest of this year. I'm spoiled, man. I really am, man. I don't know what it is with the city. We got All Out. We got Survivor Series weekend. MLW's having their first pay-per-view here in Chicago. Got Bound for Glory. I don't know what's next, man. We've been very fortunate with getting a lot of the big shows coming to the city, especially during the fall this year. So I think that's pretty cool.
Passionate fan base, man.
Other thing I wanted to mention, New Japan, they started their G1 Climax 29 tournament last Saturday at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. The A block was the featured attraction of the show. Some really cool matches. Kenta took on Kota Ibushi. Kenta won with the GTS to the pleasurement to all the crowd in that area. That was a fun match. Okada and Tanahashi main event the show, and
it was Kenta's move first. I mean, it's in fairness.
Yes, let's not facts get away with a good story. Okada and Tanahashi, one of the biggest rivalries in New Japan Pro Wrestling history, to main event a show in the U.S. I think that's pretty cool. The crowd was very receptive to that match as well. It was a lot of fun. Good start to the tournament. The B block starts not tomorrow, on Saturday. Jon Moxley will be fighting Tai Chi from Suzuki Gun and some other cool matches on the show, like Ishii against Jeff Cobb. That match, that's down my wheelhouse. That's gonna be a sick match. That's gonna be fucking awesome. So the G1 has been doing some good stuff. There's a lot of good pro wrestling in the just in general. The state of wrestling's in a good place, and a lot of cool shows. There's a lot of wrestling to consume and catch up with. I don't know how I do it, trying to transcribe these shows on the website, but I try to make the best out of it. But yeah, man, wrestling's doing good right now. And again, you go check out my website, prowrestlingtranscriptions.com, if you want to check out my coverage of the G1 tournament if you don't have the opportunity to watch it. So we got AEW this weekend. Evolve's having their 10th anniversary special on the network.
How cool was that?
On Saturday. How about that?
20 years ago, 21 years ago, I almost went to a Gabe Sapolsky camp, and everyone around me told me I was an idiot, and so I didn't go. And I've been regretting that decision ever since. Not that I ever would have done anything, but but just the experience alone, and just the knowledge alone, and just like would have been a great thing. So it's very cool to see Evolve kind of evolve into what it has. Like that. That's why I'm here, man. That's why I'm here.
Well done. You know what? I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like I'm at the point where how it was for people when they had AWA, Mid-South, Georgia Championship Wrestling, NWA, WWF, all those territories at the same time having their own shows on television now. That's how I feel how it is right now with all these other promotions having these pay-per-views and all this stuff. It's pretty cool.
And I think the unfortunate thing, and the reason why that I had you watch that one episode of Hassan Minaj, is the way that internet companies cut up different areas. It really does affect the way that some people might be able to watch some of these wrestling promotions, because if you live somewhere where you can't get a good internet speed, as of right now, AEW isn't you don't know much about them, because you probably have to load a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I mean, there are parts of the country that are still like that, and so I do think that is, but at the same time, when you look at it, Josh, I don't know if there's ever, and it's such a subjective statement to say, because
yeah,
it's relevant to the time frame that you're in. Like, I'm not saying, I don't know if there's ever been a better time for wrestling, and granted, same could have been said in the 90s, same could have been said in the 80s, because of different outlets, magazines blow up or dirt sheets blow up, or, everything just kind of goes in. But for how much coverage, how many promotions you can watch, how many people are constantly talking about it online, you look at just how, like, wrestling has crossed over in the pop culture in so many different ways, and not just WWE anymore. You look at what happened last night at the ESPYs, as far as, WWE gets their own award. Becky Lynch is the first WWE athlete to ever grace the cover of WWE, or I'm sorry, ESPN the magazine. Yep. So how cool is that? I didn't realize that no WWE stars have ever been on that magazine.
I didn't know about that either.
That's crazy to me, So, I mean, when you really look at AEW's rise, and yeah, Josh, it does feel like the territorial days, but again, just to use it feels like those days on steroids, but not literally, guys. Relax. It feels like we have so many options, but at the end of the day, it still has always felt like WWF has always been, regardless of whether people admit it or not, it's always felt like the big dog.
Again, you said it. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, not only for people my age, especially for AJ and the younger demographic that have all that wrestling right now. And a lot of people are fixated of having competition with AEW, WWE. I'm just soaking up all the wrestling I can. That's what gets me excited. I could give a rat's ass about competition.
No, it's all about everybody succeed. Success breeds success, and that's why I have never been a fan of. If you're a fan of the art, the art of professional wrestling or sports entertainment or storytelling, or or the theater of it, or for me, and I'll admit, my favorite individual every week in, week out, when WWE programming is Corey Graves. I make no mistake. I'm very transparent about it. I'm very markish about it. I just think he's extremely talented, and the man carries two different shows. He's so good, and he carries 2 shows a week. I mean, I think we're going to look back one day and realize how good we had it while we have Corey Graves. And Josh, so when you look at all these different reasons that people fall in love for wrestling there's something out there for everybody right now, right. And like you said, there's so many different reasons to fall in love with professional wrestling. So why would you want one to fail? The more success, the more successful a company is, the more it challenges that other company to be successful. It just, competition breeds success, breeds competition, breeds success. And we're the only beneficiaries, or us ultimately, is the consumer. So stop all this. I hope WWE fails, or I hope AEW. No, we want everybody to succeed, because one, some men, women, and their families are going to become a little bit better off, and we're going to get a hell of a lot of enjoyment out of it. So, I don't understand why everybody has to pick teams and pick sides and bury a company, and it's too much. It's
too much, man. Hey, that's what I said earlier about people acting like they're in high school and you need clicks and this and that. It's stupid.
That's what I'm saying, man. Social media has kept everybody in high school. That's why I see adults, like, and I say adults like I'm not almost 40. But I see people my father's age that are just now getting into Facebook, and it's like I'm back in high school again. It's like, that's not a good thing. You're in your 60s. You don't want to be like, you know what I mean? I don't want, like, my golden years aren't going to be, I can't wait to see what Stewie from first grade thinks about the high school game this weekend. Like, are our lives are we that desperate for attention? I stay off. Oh, dude, I'm so glad I stay off. I'm so glad. Like, it was so funny before before we started taping, Josh had like 3 different things. He's like, dude, so what did you think about this? And I'm like, man, it's the first I'm hearing about it. It's like 3 different things you brought up. Stay away. Ignorance is bliss.
Yes, it is. All right, is AJ ready?
We are ready, man. The star of the show is here.
All right, how's it going, AJ?
I am doing good, and luckily I did not switch jobs at all.
Do we even remember what you were a couple weeks ago?
She was a teacher a couple weeks ago, I think,
yes,
right?
I was the teacher for music, for heavy metal music.
Gotcha. All right. And did you look up Rowan's shirt this week?
No, I forgot to do that.
I did. I believe they were a Swedish metal band again. I believe. I'm gonna have to look it back up. Yeah.
I didn't know Swedish was so big into heavy metal. I didn't know that.
Swedish isn't a country, but Sweden is.
Oh, you get what I'm.
Next time you eat them Sweden fish, I'm gonna tell you what. That's great candy.
It is. I actually like that. It is good. All right. Through the eyes of a 9-year-old. I'm sorry, Brother Carter. This is the most requested segment in all podcasting. AJ, what do you want to start off with this week?
So I'm going to start off with, how about Braun Strowman going ahead and spearing Bobby Lashley through the stage set?
Yeah, you were big into that, huh?
Yes. It was insane. Everything exploded. I didn't know if there was injuries. People were going nuts. It was insane. How did you guys think about it?
I thought it was really cool. Adam, I want to get your thoughts on it. What do you think about like the different camera shots they had of it than the usual one and stuff like that goes down? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it obviously gave it away that it was a work, but we knew it was a work to begin with anyway, even if, but it added on that extra layer of, well, what if this wasn't a work? You know what I mean? Like it did for a second. It really, really did. It took a second, like of like, oh my, that's why I actually did feel like, wow, they came right out of the gate swinging right after the announcement of Heyman and Bischoff kind of running the show. I have just my own personal opinion about Heyman later on, because they were, it's funny that he's been on TV but hasn't addressed certain things, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't think he's going to.
I don't, but there could be a way. But no, I thought it was a really good way of letting people know, hey, things are about to be different,
The last time I saw somebody drive somebody through a stage, AJ, was Ryback putting John Cena through the stage at an Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I think it was 2013. Damn, 6 years already? Jesus Christ.
Not for nothing, but we were actually visiting my dad that night, and we were watching. And my father's 60 years old. He doesn't watch wrestling, and he can, whatever. But
your dad's funny, man.
Yeah, he's a trip. But when they were showing like the, hey, past couple weeks when they were showing the tug of war and they were showing the arm wrestling competition, my dad was like, why are they doing this? He was like, this is a wrestling show. What are they doing all this? Like he's like, why don't they just let these these guys just slug at each other? Mm-hmm. So I think, Josh, in a way, how was there a problem before? Maybe. You know what I mean? Because my dad's somebody that went last year when we went to Money in the Bank, he was kind of starting to get roped into the show a little bit. Mm-hmm. But then we start off Raw, the video packages of the past couple of weeks, and he's like, wait, this is really what they're doing now? And not saying that they don't plop those in there every once in a while over the years, but maybe those are segments that just don't click anymore. You know how we knocked like PP jokes and stuff like that, like how, with all of Vince's thing, even though I started this show with a 5-minute urine joke. But it's one of those where maybe those kind of things just aren't working in 2019 either,
Oh, you remember Mark Henry like pulling a tractor or like a big RV? Remember those like strength competitions he used to do?
Yeah, I mean, now that you bring it up vaguely, but I never would have if you wouldn't have brought it up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I get why they do it, but
AJ, I got a question for you. Yes. Did Braun putting Bobby through the stage get you more excited for their match at Extreme Rules or no?
Not really got me. It got me more excited for what was going to happen next on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually that's fair.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, because you never knew if somebody was going to come out of the ambulance or if what was going on. You didn't know if there was any injuries. You really didn't know. So in a way, you were just staying there mainly for that beginning segment, even though you're already like an hour, 2 hours in.
One of the silliest things I ever watched in wrestling as a kid was Big Show and Hulk Hogan driving at each other with monster trucks.
Oh God!
Of course, sounds like something Hulk Hogan would do.
Yeah, exactly. All right, AJ. Anything else over the last couple weeks stood out to you?
How about
anything from Fyter Fest?
I did like Fyter Fest. How about Maria Kanellis? Can we talk about Maria Kanellis, or is that not a piece of the show?
We can talk about Maria Kanellis.
Okay. So I'll let you start off the show with this part. You can start off.
No, we've seen the angle, and I don't know. She is pregnant, Josh.
She is pregnant. Yeah,
pregnant. Okay, right. So she is pregnant, and they, obviously, the people listening to this have seen it. I don't have to set this up. This isn't these other dirt sheet little podcasts.
Okay. You don't need to break it down.
I don't got to break it down. So we know. So Maria's pregnant, and she hates Mike, and that's the angle they're going with right now.
Mm-hmm.
You love this angle for some reason. You're just over here just smiling. You think it's so funny.
I do. I think it's hilarious.
Now, so let me ask you this question. From a different.
Did anybody see Izzy reacting to it? I know you and me saw it, but did Josh see that?
What
Izzy reacting to that segment?
Well, that was more scripted.
Okay.
That was scripted, yeah. Which I have my thoughts on that on a completely different thing, but yeah, that was more of a skit. I don't know if Josh saw it, but that was a skit. So let me ask this question though. So now they're starting to get a little not riskier, but they're going in different ways with their storylines now. Like that's not something maybe even a month ago they would have done. Maybe I don't know, who knows, but let alone a year or 2 years ago. Is this something that you look at as being ridiculous? Do you think it's as being 9? Is it uncomfortable for you because it's weird stuff to talk about? Is it?
No, it's more funny than uncomfortable, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, it's like that weird, like it's uncomfortably funny, but like that's why it's so funny because like it's uncomfortable, but it's not really because it's so funny. Like it's hard to explain. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It's on those types of things.
Okay. Well, because that's because right now they are kind of teetering that the PG-14 line a little bit. You know what I mean? So I just didn't know if like those kind of the reason why I asked that is I didn't know how that kind of storyline would resonate with you. Obviously, we've laughed about it. I know because we've kind of joked a lot about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it would be good for the show here. So go ahead, Josh.
I just think it's pretty cool. Like Maria has always done a good job with whatever role she's been given when she was at WWE, and she's just that good a performer. Well, I think the coolest part about it is adding dimension to Mike's character. Because I watch him every week on 205 Live, and he comes off as a title, and he should be giving title shots because he was at different companies and this and that. But for him to have a different type of part of his character where he could be having his ego brought down a little bit by his wife, I don't think it's a bad thing, actually. And it's giving more people a reason to care about Mike Kanellis. And anytime I can see Maria and Mike on television, I think it's a good thing. So I'm glad that they're giving these two a shot. By the way, congratulations, Maria, for their second baby out of the way, which is cool. I really have enjoyed what they've been doing so far. I really have. I was going to say really quick.
Well, people wanted different, so they're getting different.
Right. Yeah. AJ, really quick, because we got to get some picks in for Extreme Rules. We saw who finally knocked out Aleister Black's door, and it ended up being Cesaro. What did you think about that happened on SmackDown this week?
Well, I mean, I think me and Dad were expecting it to be Bray Wyatt because he was missing the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do the podcast.
His puppets keep popping up behind Miz all the time, though.
Yeah, Miz, and who else was it? Who else?
I think Apollo Crews once.
Yeah.
Maybe, but the majority have been Miz.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's foreshadowing or just happenstance.
Do you think Bray Wyatt got Shelton Benjamin possessed?
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you. I didn't want to have to be the one to say it, but thank you. Yes. Yeah, thank you. That's what I've been saying to AJ the past couple weeks. Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, AJ, go ahead. What you were gonna say?
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of upsetting to me that it's not Bray Wyatt. Me and Dad at the end were a little bit thinking it was John Cena for a minute, but then it was Cesaro. Yes, we were thinking it was John Cena. How dumb is that? But then, I mean, that is lame to think it's John Cena. John Cena sucks. No.
Right.
I think he just, the only reason why I thought it might have been Cena was he put something on Instagram that day. He posted Patrick Bateman's business card from American Psycho. And I thought, he's big into sometimes spoiling things without people realizing that he's spoiling things. And I thought, oh, that'd be a cool, little one-off for him. You know what I mean? It'd be a cool match for Aleister Black. I don't know. I just thought they could have done something, where not Cena wouldn't have obviously a split personality. I'm not saying that, but he could have been a little edgier without turning heel like people. You know what I mean? He could have, because we really don't know what Aleister Black is yet, right? He's still an enigma. He's still that gray area character that we know he's just waiting for a fight. He's methodical, and
I thought it might be Matt Hardy for a moment, actually. I did.
Oh, okay. It would have been funny if it was Woods, because him and Zelina Vega and Aleister Black have been doing some great things on social.
Yeah, that's some funny stuff, man. I saw that. You don't understand how hard it is to be Matt Hardy. I'm not gonna do the weird smile he does. I think Derek would do a better job at that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's because Derek's a serial killer. But
yeah,
so but no, I was, and nothing against Cesaro, but I was underwhelmed. I'll admit, I was underwhelmed.
I thought it worked because over the last couple weeks they've been building up Cesaro's character of him just fighting anybody at any time. It took me a while to figure out it was going to be him that knocked on the door. I think from a matchup standpoint, I think these two are going to kill it at Extreme Rules. But I can understand if there's disappointment if you wanted somebody bigger to knock on Aleister's door. I'm curious to see how your reaction would be if it was Randy Orton who knocked on the door.
It would have made more sense to me, and here's why.
Okay.
Randy Orton's character hears voices in his head. They counsel him. They speak to him. They talk to him.
That's literally the song lyrics.
So no, but my point is that exactly. Well, that would have been, to me, that would have, because you're right. Cesaro is just a dude looking for a fight, right? And that's all Aleister Black wanted. But because Aleister Black's so methodical and so good on the mic, and nothing against Cesaro, but I would have almost wanted to see somebody that was a little more on the demented side versus just the strong side, if that makes sense, And so that's my only criticism. I thought there'd be more of a mind game kind of back and forth thing, where we probably won't get that. Maybe we will, and I'm totally wrong, and maybe they're doing something with Cesaro's character that's going to be completely different. But
what if it was Ali?
Would have loved it.
I think they're fighting each other at SummerSlam. That's why I brought it up.
Okay.
I think they're gonna have a feud with each other.
And who did you want it to be ultimately?
Who for knock on Aleister's door?
Right. Yeah.
Probably Bray.
Probably Bray.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. One more question before we get to Extreme Rules. Yay or nay to the club getting back together?
Yay.
Yay. Absolutely yay.
I like what they've been doing for the last couple weeks. Some good stuff. All right. We're not going to make predictions for every match. Let's pick a couple here and there. You guys could tell me what matches you guys are looking forward to the most for Sunday. Really quick. We'll start off with the club here. AJ Styles against Ricochet for the U.S. title. Who you guys got in that one?
I got Ricochet.
I wouldn't mind seeing Ricochet hold on to it, but it seems like they're probably doing something with the club here. So, I don't know. I'm okay with either result on this one.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see where they go with these two. So I'm glad that now Ricochet is becoming more of a household name. And this, even if he drops the title, it's still huge him being in this match.
Right. I know this is becoming more of a grudge feud, but it's also a toss-up match to me. Like it doesn't matter who wins this match for me personally. Either guy could win. All right, let's see. How about this one? Kofi Kingston against Samoa Joe.
I'm going to go Kofi.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kofi. I'd like to see Kofi win. So I'm going to go Kofi. So I'm not making predictions, guys. I'm just saying who I like, because I'd actually would be absolutely okay with Samoa Joe winning too. That's why they kind of got me on both sides. Where a lot of these matches, I'd be okay with either outcome.
Right. Well, that's a good thing about what's happening on Sunday. Like, you could find a reason for why each performer won their particular match on Sunday.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not overly predictable either at the same time too, which is a cool thing.
Correct.
What was I gonna say? I can see Kofi winning. I can see Samoa Joe winning. Also, I can see Brock Lesnar cashing in too.
Well, I wanted to get into that. Let's, you know what? Screw it. Let's break that down real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay?
Yeah, I was gonna spoil it for you, but I'm not gonna.
So here's the thing. Paul Heyman, finally, because I've always talked about it on here. Let the cat out of the bag that when he says that it's a spoiler alert, it's a spoiler alert. And the times that he has not used that it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler alert. Brock Lesnar has lost. Now, he also made it very well known that he could also be completely lying to you, and not because he's Paul Heyman. And that's what, dude, brother, Jack. This is as I go down the Hulk Hogan vocabulary of terms.
Jeez.
This is. I want to just a couple ideas, and this is just fantasy booking ideas, but this is why what I'm looking forward to the most on Sunday is Paul Heyman. Number one, does Brock Lesnar cash in on Seth Rollins?
No.
Something historic. Number two, does Brock Lesnar cash in on Kofi Kingston? Yeah. And number three, does Paul Heyman, who we know now is in charge of Raw, turn on Brock Lesnar to ensure that title stays on his show because he knows that Brock likes to leave his show? Does he, in fact, have Brock cash in on Kofi so that Kofi could bring the WWE Championship over to Raw? But then would that cause Lesnar, even though he could be on both shows, to be featured more on SmackDown, thus still being pulled away from Paul Heyman unless Heyman pulls double duty, where he runs one show, he's an advocate on the other? There's so many different ways that I could, and those are just like three or four quick things that you could rattle off. There's so many different ways I feel like they could go with Brock Lesnar cashing in on Sunday, even if he's not there and does not cash in and whatever. That's still something that Paul Heyman has already sold this for me. And I think, Josh, a way that, because they haven't addressed it, Paul Heyman, you can tell the crowd wants them to address that Heyman is doing something behind the scenes. They just refuse to. That's why I asked you, before we went on, do you think they're going to address it? I think they do. I think they're waiting for this pay-per-view. And I think that if there was ever a time to pull Paul Heyman away from Lesnar, where it absolutely would make sense and people would never forget it, would be the time Paul Heyman sold out.
Well, I find it interesting that this pay-per-view is actually being in Philadelphia, and it is Extreme Rules.
Didn't even think about that. Nice connection.
The last time that Paul Heyman did a turn on somebody was CM Punk, and Money in the Bank was in Philadelphia in 2013. For me, I could see Heyman doing double duty and having Brock cash in on Kofi. For now, I don't think they're going to address Heyman being responsible for Raw. But at the end of the day, this stuff doesn't really matter. He can make up his decision if he wants to do that. I mean, that's the fun part. We're just two bumbling idiots just pontificating over this stuff. Like, anything can happen at this point.
I'm just tossing out ideas. By no means am I saying any of this is going to happen. But could you imagine the pop, though?
Yeah.
If Lesnar was about to cash in and just almost that, you know what, I have to do what I have to do. You know what I mean? Just one of those, like, And it will do, and it doesn't hurt the Brock Lesnar character. You know, it doesn't hurt it wouldn't tarnish anything. I don't know. I feel like there's so many. There, ultimately, if not just that, there's so many ways they could go.
Right.
I think that the one thing I don't think happens is I don't think, and AJ, we're going to get your opinion on this too. I don't think that he cashes in on Rollins successfully. That's the only thing I don't think that happens. I think it's obviously an option. I don't think that happens though. But
I don't know. Probably not. And then hopefully we go into the match soon with Seth Rollins. At Extreme Rules, hopefully.
Because you want to talk about that match first. Okay, yeah. That's right.
I
Okay.
wait to talk about
I kind of overlooked there. I kind of overlooked the power couple there. Okay. Gotcha.
I know a lot of people haven't been into the feud so far, but I am curious to see what's going to happen with the Undertaker, Roman, Shane, and Drew McIntyre match. I think it'd be better than people are looking into it right now. Again, shout out to
is the Undertaker wearing extensions?
Yes.
Here's another question: is the Undertaker related to Roman?
No.
No.
I don't even know where that came from. Sound like somebody else.
Was he a long lost uncle or something?
Yeah, right.
All right. Jeez. Okay. AJ, before we get to the main event, what did you think about Seth and Becky taking out Andrade and Selena on Raw this week?
I really liked it a lot. I'm actually glad that it was more hyper. I'm actually glad that it was more of the women doing it, and then the men did it. I kind of liked that.
Brother, I thought it was kind of cool with the part where they're having Becky punch Corbin on the stage, where they're doing a sneak attack. I think they're going to do more intergender spots in this match than people are thinking.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one.
Man, this match would go any other way. I could see Corbin and Lacey winning. I could also see Rollins and Becky retaining. I don't have a preference in this match either. I'm very excited for this one, but I want you guys to talk about it. I'm very excited for this main event. It's gonna be a pretty cool match.
So I hope, at least I very, very hope that Seth Rollins and Becky retain the title. Yeah, I really do think that they should retain the title. Because I do like them a lot, so they should retain the title no matter what. I feel like. Plus, I don't want Seth losing, and then all of a sudden Becky loses her title, and then they break up, and that would just be too terrible, too bad.
Terrible.
They're not dropping them titles at Extreme Rules. Relax, everyone.
No.
It's Extreme Rules.
It ain't. No, it ain't. No.
All right. You guys excited for the pay-per-view this weekend or no?
Yes, I am excited for all three. I guess I should probably say.
Yeah, there's a lot of pay-per-views this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of pay-per-views, and then so you talked about Enzo at a Blink in a Wheezy concert.
What?
Well, not at a. I guess not. Nice little Tucci. But we actually this past Saturday attended the Blink Lil Wayne show here with some friends of mine from work, and it almost, if anybody has gone to the Blink Wayne concert somewhere near you, they're touring the country for the 20th anniversary of the Enema of the State album. It basically goes, Lil Wayne is support the opener for Blink, who closes. Well, we get there and they start announcing over the loudspeaker, oh, yeah, well, there's been a switch. Blink 182 is going on at 8:30. Lil Wayne's going on at like 9:45 or something like that. To make a long story short, the story is being told, and who knows the truth behind this, but Lil Wayne's tour bus broke down between, I guess, like Hershey, PA, and Pittsburgh down this way. and my man almost missed a show altogether. Like ended up hitting the stage at 10. His bus didn't roll in until 9:30. So like literally, like it was like almost the night Lil Wayne didn't show up, you know, and probably they would have had to have issued a lot of refunds. But awesome show. Lil Wayne was great.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I loved Lil Wayne. It was very energetic. I liked it a lot. I was saving all my energy. I could have danced more with Blank, I do admit. But I was saving all my energy for Lil Wayne.
That's what I figured. Now here's where I lose some of our audience. I can't do Blink-182 anymore. I can't listen to like middle-aged dudes. Like I'm 39 years old, right? I can't listen to dudes older than me sing songs about high school. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't listen to 45-year-old men.
Disconnect.
There's such a disconnect, and like seriously, dude, you're still in high school. Like, no wonder why you have a song called "What's My Age Again."
Oh God.
So, but this weekend, we as the summer concert series continues. We are seeing 311 and Dirty Heads live in Pittsburgh. And for those of you that may be a fan of either, this is Saturday night. I know there's a lot of wrestling going on too, but YouTube and Facebook Live, they are having a live stream for the new 311. They're doing the concert's being filmed with like 6 different HD cameras. They're broadcasting it live all over YouTube and Facebook. So that's the one we'll be at. You might see the Villain and the Man there. So while you're watching all this other wrestling stuff, put the 311 show on too. It's a shame they're not playing Dirty Heads live, but it's for 311's new album, Voyager. So that's on Saturday, live from the KeyBank Pavilion in Burgettstown, Pennsylvania. Yes. Listen to that promotion for something that I had to pay money to go see.
Yes.
Yeah, get some money in return, man. Jeez.
Yeah, right. Anything. But no, you know what? It's actually really cool to be at a show that they're going to broadcast live around the world, and that's something that, you know. So anybody listening to this right now could sit there and be in that moment with with me at that time. So check it out.
Real quick, Blink-182 is better right now than a band also in their 40s. Something about rainbows and surprises? I'm not sure.
Who's that? Who's Rainbows and Surprises?
I don't know. Something about Rainbows and Surprises? Something about it? I don't know.
I've never heard of a band called Now You Lost Me.
You don't get it.
I'm totally no, I don't know. Certain band. Is there a band called Rainbow?
I never heard of it.
Rainbow Kitten Surprise. That's an actual band?
Yes, that is an actual band.
Oh my God.
It's an actual alt rock band in their 40s.
That's a brutal name.
It would be better if it was like Kids still like 4 years old.
You know, I am worried about the world.
There's creativity, and then there's that.
That's something.
All right, AJ. Thank you again for gracing us with your presence. You did a great job as always. Thank you for coming on.
No problem. I will enjoy the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the years in my life, and hopefully my tablet does not lock up for 47 years.
You're on this tablet locking up for 47 years, kid. Where did you hear this? You're like I don't.
Did you get that from a movie?
Amazon tablets, if you don't get the thing right after 4 times, it will. If you don't get your lock right after 4 times, it will lock up for 47 years.
Listen, if that's true, and it's like exactly 47 years, Jeff Bezos is absolutely an alien that's trying to take over this country.
And it's in minutes.
And I've never believed alien conspiracies until now.
And it says in minutes instead of hours or days or like years or anything. I don't
believe that.
So people
You're fake news.
So no, I'm not. I swear. So people have to calculate this all and say, okay, I guess this is 47 years.
It's like fake news.
2 billion, tillion, who cares?
I don't. Now you're just making stuff up. Now you sound like Vince.
I'm not. I swear. I swear. It will seriously.
I can't do my Vince impression right now.
Seriously lock.
You know what I want to say.
Yeah.
It will seriously lock up on you for 47 years. So everybody, be careful whenever you get a Amazon tablet. Make sure you know the password.
Have you been writing for Raw recently or no?
No.
I want. I do admit. So people, please be careful with your Amazon tablets. Please remember the password.
Stop. All right. Enough plugging of electronics.
Bye-bye.
Out of here.
Bye. She's awesome. All right, brother. Any final words before we head out this week?
No, apologize that I like chased my dog around there for a second. She was kind of going a little wild. Apologize for all the barking there. No, listen, this is a crazy wrestling weekend. I mean, there's a lot going on. That's why I keep saying, break up the monotony. There's a great show by the band 311. Go to their YouTube page, go to their Facebook page. You might see us on there. I'm sure my daughter's seems to be a superstar everywhere she goes. So I'm sure the camera will find her somehow.
Yes.
But no, man. But listen, everyone that's watching wrestling this weekend, watch what you like. Don't hate watch. I mean, there's so much of it going on. It's going to be exhaustive as it is. So if you're going into something with a negative or a cynical mindset, know that you're not going to enjoy it regardless. So just, don't try to cram too much wrestling into one day, especially with all these little like side events that are going on. It's just going to take away from the experience and the specialness of each event from you. For those of you that can separate them all and kind of have a good time with them all, enjoy them. And again, just like I said at the top of the show, like we crack a lot of jokes. When Josh told me the numbers of the listeners, I'll admit I kind of soiled my pants a little because I didn't think that many people listen to us. So a lot of the jokes that I tell now, I'm realizing people actually hear what I say, and it's kind of frightening, because I tell very just jokes to very self-deprecating, and so I'm glad the anxiety is kicking back in for that. But no, man, listen, to all of our good brothers and good sisters that are listening out there, there's a million places that you could get this ramble and garbage from. It's greatly appreciated. You guys check us out.
We appreciate all of you. Again, we've been doing this show.
And check out Spider-Man. It was awesome. Yeah. It was better than anything that they did with any of the whole Thanos, whatever.
Yes.
Spider-Man was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not an Avengers fan.
Again, shout out to all of you. We've been doing this show particularly for 3 years on our own, and very proud of where the show is right now. And we're doing good shows weekend and week out. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting it. Last thing, I want to send 2 shout outs. First off, to Kevin Owens for having a great week of television.
Oh, fantastic.
And secondly, go check out Batista's movie this weekend called Stuber. I always want to see the wrestlers succeed when their movies come out. This it's a comedy movie. I already seen a lot of positive praise for it on Twitter, and it's a comedy movie. Go check it out. Batista's done a lot of good stuff acting wise, and go check out his movie as well if you want.
One last question for you, Josh, before we go, because we didn't touch upon this, and I think it's maybe important that we do.
Okay.
The SmackDown Women's Championship. It really does seem like Bayley's up against two against one odds. Is she really though?
No.
Did Sasha Banks resign? Is she back with the company? Is this where she sneaks back in?
Yes, and they'll fight each other at SummerSlam.
I was gonna say, so she's gonna turn on. She's gonna help Bayley win, then slap the shit out of her, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So just so we're on the same page. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And let's get something straight too. That's probably the best case scenario for Sasha Banks. Like I want Sasha to come back at the paper because I think this is just I don't know. It's just one man's opinion, so who really cares? But it'd be awesome if it happens. We'll just leave.
Well, I think it benefits both of them actually. So
yeah, and the fans. It'd be awesome to do it this way.
And I think Nikki and Bayley have done a very good job building the program, especially with Alexa Bliss being sick, unfortunately, this week. So shout out to those ladies. Shout out to AJ. Our superstar on the show. Thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast this week. Enjoyed the shows this weekend, and we'll be back here next week to recap it. We'll see if the Obsolete Mule actually fulfills his duties and gives us the thoughts of Jericho. Not getting my hopes up, but we'll see. We'll talk to you guys next week. Make sure to subscribe to the channel on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Tell a friend about the show, and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Peace.